Yes, sound is clean. Yesterday was definitely okay.
Welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club. A couple of housekeeping notes first. I was covering breakfast speeches this morning in Guangzhou by several senior Chinese officials, and they were talking on law issues. We have somebody with us who knows many of the legal issues and has a broad experience as well, more recently as an academic. She's speaking as the former Secretary of Security, but we all know why she's also in the limelight at the moment. She has served in the Hong Kong government since 1975, from 1975 up to 2003. She had applied to graduate school in 2002 and then went to the United States and studied at Stanford. She's now back and she's the head of the Cervantes Policy Institute. And with that, I give you Ms. Regina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith, for your introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by thanking Steve Ushiyama, fellow fitness buff, for inviting me to speak at the FCC. Before accepting this and earlier invitation from Steve, I have been forewarned about the perils of putting my head into the lion's den. Indeed, it was about 4 or 5 years ago that I spoke at the FCC at the SAR's Secretary for Security, defending as best I could the government's bottom line on Article 23. Since leaving government and Hong Kong, I discovered new interests, new passions. I put my daughter to school. I went back to school myself, studied Chinese literature, history, democracy, and even Japanese. Not very successfully, I'm afraid. Coming back to Hong Kong, I founded a think tank, hoping that my friends and I could together play a role in building a better Hong Kong. This changed Regina decided to put my newfound interests to test and myself up for election as a candidate with independent views and some new ideas when the opportunity unexpectedly arose. I would like to share with you my conviction about democracy. You know me well enough to know that I will continue to be as straight-talking as ever. But I hope when you think about it, my speech today won't disappoint in terms of substance and ideas, as opposed to empty talk and sloganeering. I am convinced that we must develop our democracy. I am convinced from bitter experience as a civil servant and political appointee that further democratic development must go hand in hand with Hong Kong's continual vitality and survival, and indeed survival. I joined the Hong Kong government in 1975 as an administrative officer. In fact, I heard 2 of my old bosses are in the audience. We worked long hours, but life was much simpler then. The governor was the president of LegCo, and we sat in LegCo, appointed by the governor. No one was elected to represent the ordinary folk of Hong Kong. The civil servants thought out the policies and had a large say in their adoption. The civil service was effectively the ruling party. Popular participation was limited, but Hong Kong's civil servants managed to get things done. Under this down-to-earth colonial system, with minimal popular participation and interference, Hong Kong prospered and its entrepreneur created a much lauded miracle of a market economy. Before I become too nostalgic about the good old days, or the bad old days, depend on how you look at it, let's come back to today's stark reality. The reality is that the good or bad old days are gone forever. the old executive-led colonial system was broken before the handover. Former Governor Patton tried to fast-track the process of installing a Westminster-style parliamentary government on Hong Kong shortly after his arrival. He removed himself and the last remaining 10 senior officials from LegCo. He substantially increased the electoral element of LegCo. By removing non-official EXCO members from LegCo, he broke the vital link between these bodies at a crucial time in our history. The impact on the quality of governance was far-reaching and devastating. On the one hand, with stronger, noisier public participation by those who had been previously excluded in the legislature, the government has no doubt become more open, responsive, and accountable. But on the other hand, the government floundered as it lost control of its ability to implement its agenda in the legislature. One of its casualties is the upgrading of Hong Kong's infrastructure, which has practically come to a standstill. The deadlock in going ahead with the West Kowloon Cultural Project is a case in point. There has also been little progress in building a community consensus on what we consider Hong Kong's core values, or our identity. Our air has gone foul, and the English language proficiency of our students have gone down. And more worryingly, far more people have fallen below the poverty line. In the meantime, civil servants have never been more unhappy, as politicians and media alike find them easy targets for pinning the blame for anything that goes wrong.